No, not yet.
That was a little Simon Says.
Wow.
First, I have to welcome you all to the Monday, December 15th, 2025 regular meeting of the Birmingham City Commission here at City Hall, 151 Martin Street. It is 7:30 p.m. And now, let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Mayor Ballard,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Anthony Long,
Here.
Commissioner Haig,
Here.
Commissioner Kozowski,
Here.
Commissioner Long. Here. Commissioner Kolb,
Here.
Commissioner Host.
Here. Great. Now we have proclamations, congratulatory resolutions, awards, appointments, resignations, and confirmations, administration of oaths, introduction of guests, and announcements. We do not have any announcements. We do have appointments to the Board of Review, and we have two applicants, Kathleen Devereaux and Jill Stress. Are either or both of you here tonight? Please approach the microphone. Tell us your name and address and why you're interested in serving.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name's Kathleen Devereaux. I live at 1019 Ribbon Oak in Birmingham. And I was first appointed to the Board of Review early in 2016. So by next year, I will or would have served 10 years on the board. I started out as a rank beginner, as many do on this particular board, but over the years, I've learned a lot from my fellow board members, and not to mention our now very expensive county assessors. And I feel confident about my ability to listen to taxpayers, consider the data, and with my colleagues, arrive at a fair result. I still feel I have a lot to offer, and with my experience, I can also be a resource to newer board members. So I'm asking the Commission to reappoint me as a regular member of the Board of Review for a term ending December 31st, 2028, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from the Commission? No? Is Ms. Stress in the audience?
Not able to make it tonight.
She was not able to make it. Okay. Well, do we have first any Commissioner Host?
I'd like to nominate Kathleen Devereaux as a regular member of the Board of Review to serve a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2020.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. What is the Commission's pleasure regarding Jill Stress?
I would like to nominate Ms. Stress because she has, this is a reappointment, and she served since 2017, and her attendance is admirable. So I would like to nominate her as a regular member to the Board of Review to serve a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Excellent. Ms. Devereaux, we will swear you in.
No?
Yes.
Raise your right hand, and you'll say, "I do" after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of this state, and endeavor to secure and maintain an honest and efficient administration of the affairs of Birmingham, free from partisan distinction or control, and to perform the duties of office of Board of Review according to the best of my ability.
I do.
Green pen instead of the regular pen. Thank you. So you will sign it. And then I'll fill in the rest.
Thank you, congratulations, and thank you very much for your service to the community. And now, for many of you, we'll move on to what is for many of you the main event tonight, a resolution to confirm the city manager's appointment of Assistant Fire Chief Matt Bartolino as Fire Chief and direct the clerk to administer the oath of office to Chief Bartolino. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Host.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to have a resolution to confirm the city manager's appointment of Assistant Fire Chief Matt Bartolino as Fire Chief and direct the clerk to administer the oath of office to Chief Bartolino.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. I think the city manager would like to speak.
Yes, I just wanted to say a few words. Chief Bartolino has been with us for 22 years. As most of you know, you've seen him. He's been Assistant Fire Chief for the past 6 years. Prior to that, he was a captain and a lieutenant. He's been the interim interim chief since July 17th, and he's done a great job of working through some difficult situations with a lot of people, and he's worked very hard to make things better, a better place in the fire station. So I definitely want to thank him, and I'm very pleased to offer him the position. Welcome. You can see there are a large number of people that are here in support.
We see that. Would you like to say a few words?
If you don't mind, and just out of respect for everyone's time, I made sure to write it down so I didn't drag this out or start good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager Ecker, everyone here tonight. I'm deeply honored and grateful for the opportunity to serve as Fire Chief after 22 years with the department. Thank you for your trust, your support, and for believing in the work that we do every day to keep this community safe. I also want to recognize some important people who made this moment possible. I'll try to keep my stuff together here tonight. To my parents, Joe and Debbie, thanks for shaping my work ethic and for your unending support. It has been a foundation on which today's achievement stands. I'm terrible at this.
You're
Couldn't have done it
doing
without
just
you.
fine.
To my wife, Allie, today is possible because of the sacrifices you've made and the encouragement you give me so freely. I can't thank you enough for standing by my side. Your patience, your love continue to carry me through life's journey. To my kids, Gabby and Angelo, everything I do is with the hope of making you proud and showing you the value of hard work and service. To my fellow firefighters, both those I served with today and those who came before me, I learned this job shoulder to shoulder with incredible firefighters who set the standard for what this department should be. Firefighters like Pat Nagel, who took me under his wing as a brand new firefighter and helped shape my approach to the job and serving the public with professionalism and pride. We unfortunately lost Pat in 2013, but his legacy lives on at the BFD. I also want to acknowledge former Chief Donahue, who's here in the audience with us tonight. John has been a great friend and mentor during my path towards an administrative role in the BFD, and I can't thank him enough for putting up with me with our time together on the job. To those that I work with today, some of whom are in this room, well, a lot of whom are in this room tonight, your dedication and trust mean everything to me. I'm humbled by this responsibility, and I look forward to continuing to serve this department in this city with integrity, commitment, and heart. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time. I want to tell your kids something, and you, that your vulnerability is a sign of strength.
Appreciate it.
And this community is very proud of this fire department, always has been. But tonight, we're as proud as we've ever been. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Did we vote?
It's still yes. It's still yes.
You'll just say, "I do" after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of this state, and endeavor to secure and maintain an honest and efficient administration of the affairs of Birmingham free from partisan distinction or control, and to perform the duties of the office of Fire Chief according to the best of my ability. I tried,
Okay. Thank you.
Pass the test.
I can't get you all in one picture. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'm sorry. I just wanted you to say.
Okay.
They can proceed out. And get promoted into proceed out.
Angelo, you don't have to say.
First one, I think.
Yeah, I really did care if I had the job.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I know, they're gonna have a party.
We don't have the usual verbiage. We'll go ahead and move on with item number 4, which is open to the public for matters not on the agenda. So if there's anyone either open to the public for matters not on the agenda, so if there's anyone in the audience or online who would like to make a comment, please approach the microphone or use the raise your hand function on Zoom, and we will recognize you. Please state your name and address and
Mike Cliff, 723 Oakland Avenue in Birmingham. I haven't seen any recent activity regarding the future of Next and 400 East Lincoln in recent months. We used to have an ad hoc committee that worked on things like that, not so much lately. But I hope as the new year unfolds that we get back to that. And keep in mind that the citizens of Birmingham would love to see a solution that involves a publicly accessible indoor fitness facility, including a swimming pool. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
thank you. And Mr. Cliff, I can assure you and the public that we are working on it.
Thank you.
Anyone else, either in the room or on Zoom?
My name is David Stanislaw. I'm not currently a resident of Birmingham, so I'm not sure if I have the privilege of being able to speak or not.
You do.
Yes, you do.
Thank you. 445 South Cranbrook Cross, Bloomfield Township, a half block out of Birmingham. I've been a presence in Birmingham since 1973 when I moved my practice here. A few years later, I moved my family here. I'm here to speak about the issue of the community house and the adversarial quality of what's been going on. I'm a firm believer in conversation, discussion, exploration, putting together stakeholders who have an interest and desire to find a solution to this very complex and difficult issue. I think there's been a lot of divisiveness in the community, which I feel very badly about. I think we can do better than that, and my hope is that we don't let the adversarial process, which legal things sometimes turn into only, be the controller for the destiny of the house, and really the community that supports both the mission and the building itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stanislaw. Anyone online? I don't see anyone. No. We move on to the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and approved by a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless a commissioner or a citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered subsequently. Do any commissioners want to remove any items from the consent agenda? Does anyone in the room or online wish to remove something from the consent agenda? If not, I see none. Motion?
May I?
Please.
I'd like to move the consent agenda, including items A through J.
Second?
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hay,
Yes.
Mayor Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Therese Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Post,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
City Manager's report.
Yes, good evening. Well, I'll start with the Baldwin Public Library, and as the mayor has directed, I'm going to move through things a little faster than I normally do. But tonight, the Baldwin Public Library is having their meeting at this exact same time. And just so you know, we have the audit on our agenda tonight. The Baldwin Public Library has their audit on their agenda. And most of the team that did the audit is down with the flu, so we have one person who will be coming over here directly from the library. So we may have to bump them down one if we move very fast.
Are these
But in any,
dueling audits?
they are not. They are not dueling audits. They are both good
Dueling
audits.
presentation.
Okay. So that's the library. Then we have the museum, the Birmingham Museum. Their strategic plan is on the agenda tonight. There's a lot going on over at the museum, and Director Leslie Pilak is here. You can talk to her as she comes up for the strategic plan. But essentially, the museum is coordinating the 2026 initiative to celebrate America's 250th birthday in Birmingham. So they have a new logo. They will be incorporating a lot of history events throughout the year. Every Around Town e-newsletter will feature a story each month about an important person in Birmingham and their impact on the city. They would like to point out that there will be a local history twist. I'm not sure what that means, at every special event that we have over the course of this year. And also they are working on their new exhibit at the museum for the Indigenous Basket Collection, which they are working on in collaboration with the Leelanau Historical Society and Michigan State University. So there's a lot going on at the museum this year. From the Birmingham Shopping District, you all know the holiday-themed events are continuing and will continue the next 2 weekends up until the holiday. We get a lot of attention, a lot of people that come to town and visit for all the special events. We're glad to see that. And then the Birmingham Blast, the now second annual, will be held on the Saturday of our long-range planning. So if you want to get on the zip line, you're going to have to get out in between sessions to get on that. From the holiday marketing standpoint, you may have already seen there were several different publications and media drives that were made. The Birmingham City Lifestyle magazine, there was a holiday gift guide in that, which went to every residence in Birmingham. And it talked about all of the local merchants and retailers to support their businesses. There was also a digital gift guide on our media and several spots on TV and other social media platforms to encourage people to come and shop local this holiday season. From the city clerk's office, I know I got at least one email about this. We have a new meeting management software that we're using now. We're soft launching it as we speak. So I think you may have each got an email. There'll be more to come on that. This new software allows the clerk and the city staff to build the agenda in a different platform. It makes it a lot easier to search for members of the public for items and records. Also for you as city commissioners, there's also a digital note-taking function in there that you can save. You can record your notes and then you can save them. So there'll be more to come on that. We did use it this meeting and the last meeting a little bit. This meeting was the first, I'd say, full run-through, so more to come in January, and you'll get a little more training on that as we move in the new year. So, as I think it says in the report, the clerk's office and all of us, this is going to be used not just for the city commission agenda, but for all boards and committees agendas in the city. And so we will give everybody an individual login to the portal, the board members, so that you can access that. And hopefully that'll help. I know there have been some comments over the years about how hard it is to find a history of certain items in our current method of saving agenda packets and minutes and so on. So hopefully this will make things a little smoother as we move forward. From the city manager's office, a couple of important updates. With regards to the water treatment and distribution system, we have had 3 employees that have recently passed their professional development training tests and certification for the water treatment and distribution system. So we now have congratulations to Melissa Kodar, city engineer, who received her S1 license. So she will now be able to take over the running of the Birmingham water system, which we still will work with SACWA to manage that, but we have our S1 operator is at SACWA right now, so that will transition. And then also congratulations to Scott Zielinski, our Director of Public Service, and Ted Tice of Public Services, who also both received certifications at not the highest level, but lower levels with regards to that system. So we thank them all. It's a lot of work, a lot of studying, and quite a challenging test to get through that. So congratulations to them. Also from the communications department, some more technology. You have seen, or maybe you haven't, but we've talked about at least Polymorphic's use of AI for 2 different components. One is a chat bot on the website, so people can go on and they can type in a question and the chat bot will answer it. That is available in multiple different languages as well, so that kind of helps. That way, we've done extensive testing over the past couple of months since we hired them. I think we hired them back in August or September. And then the next phase will be an AI-assisted phone system that will also pick up questions and answer repeat questions. So if you want to play around with it, by all means, go on the website, find the little chatbot symbol, and ask it a question and see what happens. It's been working very well, and we've been very pleased with it. In the past, we have looked into using this type of AI function, but we were unable to find a software or an AI that would not pull from everywhere on the World Wide Web. So for instance, the ones we looked at before would pull from Birmingham, Alabama. We don't want to pull from Birmingham, Alabama, or Birmingham, England, or anywhere else. So this allowed us to geofence, I believe is the correct term, to tell it where we wanted to pull its information from so that we can control the accuracy of it. So we are testing that. And once everything has been, we've had some final adjustments over the next month, we'll send out a press release in January to let everybody know it's there. Also, the city calendars, hot off the press, you should have received them at your home already. If not today, then soon, because some people started receiving them last week. From the engineering department, there are updates on all of the construction projects that are going through with specific comment on Wimbledon Phase 1 project, which the sewer and water installation should be done by they say by December 20th, so weather permitting, so the end of the week. But of course, the asphalt and concrete plants have all shut down for the season, so we will be installing a pulverized asphalt system over top of the roadways to get through the winter, and then they'll come back and do the final paving work in the spring. From the fire department, of course, you saw the appointment of the fire chief tonight. Thank you, all of you, for your support in that regard. As you can see, Chief Bartolino has a very strong support from the entire fire department. So congratulations to him. Also, the fire department is doing a toy collection as they usually do. They have a different organization this year. If anybody's interested, bring a new unwrapped toy and you can drop it off either at City Hall, at the library, or either Fire Station 1 or Fire Station 2. If you've dropped one off lately, there's quite a collection of toys going on over there. From Human Resources, you can see we have a lot of new hires and positions that we are seeking to fill right now. And in terms of hiring anniversaries, since Leslie's here tonight, I'll make note of her, that Leslie Pilak, our museum director, has now been here for 15 years. So congratulations and thank you. From the planning department, the zoning ordinance update, you'll be seeing more from this in January. They've gone through all the proposals that were received, and they have got it down to a recommendation for one firm that'll be coming to you in January. So you can look forward to that. The Environmental Sustainability Committee, they had their meeting earlier tonight as well. And they are fielding comments on the sustainability fee concept for the congestion fee charge that we were looking at putting in for parking in Birmingham. Also, they are looking at addressing stormwater on single-family properties. That's engineering and planning working together on that. So those will both be, were both discussed. Their meeting was before this meeting. From the police department, an update you'll all be happy to know, a traffic safety campaign, our traffic campaign to control, to slow traffic, to calm the noise, all of those things is continuing on, and we were awarded another grant of almost $32,000 from Oakland County. It's traffic grant through the National Traffic Safety Organization. And as a result of that grant, we've had 167 hours of extra traffic enforcement outside of the normal shifts that we already have our police officers working. So you'll be happy to know the police department has broken it down. 364 traffic stops conducted, 287 tickets issued, 77 verbal warnings, and 4 arrests as a result of just the extra enforcement under that grant program. And that is a summary of the key points of the manager's report.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the city manager? Seeing none, we'll move to unfinished business, which is item 7. We have none. Therefore, we can move to new business, and the first item of new business is a public hearing regarding 36977 Woodward in Vestwise. That is for a special land use permit, final site plan and design review. So at 7:57 p.m., we will open the public hearing. And we will be getting a report from...
Good evening. Hi, my name is Summer Aldred Ahrens.
Hi, Summer.
I'm the city planner here. I've been here for about 2 years, but this is my first time in front of you all since the time I was hired in as an intern in 2023. I moved to full-time after Brooks Cohen left earlier this year. So it's great to be in front of you all tonight. This public hearing is for 36977 Woodward Avenue, which is in Vestwise Financial. And the applicant has submitted an application for a special land use permit for the construction of a 3-story office building at the corner of Corton and Woodward. So the proposed building is in the TZ3 zoning district, and that is the reason why I'm in front of you tonight for a special land use permit. The TZ3 has a special requirement that for any office building exceeding 4,000 square feet, it requires a special land use permit, which is why we are here. It's in a transitional area, so it's there to protect that transitional zone as they enter into Birmingham and make sure that it's still in like with what we want to see in the city. So this site currently is a vacant lot that's been vacant for a long time, 50 plus years. It was a gas station prior, and it consists of one parcel. It's just to the north of the Gastow Veterinary Hospital. On October 22nd, this property went before the planning board, and the planning board motioned to approve the site with the conditions that it acquired two variances from the Board of Zoning Appeals and a few other small minor site adjustments. On December 9th, the applicant went before the Board of Zoning Appeals, and they obtained one of the 2 variances. They obtained the variance regarding to the front building facade. So one of the variances was for the front building facade, only took up a certain percentage of the property, and the Zoning Board of Appeals granted their variance for that. And the second one it pertains to building height. It was that variance was not granted, and the applicant has revised their building plans so that it no longer exceeds the overall height of 42 feet and complies with all of our zoning ordinances. So the applicant is here tonight as well to answer any questions, should you have any, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have as well. And Vestwise is a financial planning and wealth management firm.
Great. Would the applicant like to address the commission or the public.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. I'm Jeff Klatt with Krieger Klatt Architects, 400 East Lincoln and Royal Oak. I'm here with our project team this evening, including the ownership group of InvestWise. First of all, I want to say thank you to Summer and Mr. Dupuy back there for all their help throughout the project. They've been amazing to work with. They've guided us. They've helped us. So we can't thank them enough for all the help they've given us. So we appreciate that. That was an excellent presentation. We don't have anything further to add, but we can answer any questions you have. I just know the InvestWise team is excited to move to Birmingham, and hopefully with your support that can come to fruition. So thank you.
Great. Are there any members of the public, either in the room or online, who would like to ask a question or make a comment on this project? It is a public hearing. Before I close the public hearing, I want to give everyone an opportunity. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. And now turn it to the commission. And does anyone have any questions for either the applicant or our planning department? Mayor Pro Tem.
So I actually remember when the gas station was on that lot.
Wow, you're old.
And I've always wondered why somebody hasn't developed it, and I know there's some challenges with it, so I just wanted to congratulate the owners, and thank you for investing in Birmingham, and I think it's a beautiful building, and I think it'll be a nice gateway to the city of Birmingham.
Anyone else? Quick question. The illustrations and the plans in our packet depict before you got the variance denied. In other words, this is the tall version, right?
They've been adjusted since that time to reflect
But
that.
these have not been adjusted.
They have been.
These are.
Oh, these? These are accurate. These
Correct.
accurately depict what you will build. Okay.
Correct.
That answers my question. So then, hearing no further questions or comments from anyone in the room or online or on the commission, I will entertain a motion.
If I may?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
You did have your hand up.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion adopting a resolution to adopt the findings of the planning board and approve the special land use permit and final site plan and design review application for 36977 Woodward Avenue, InvestWise Financial, to permit construction of a 3-story commercial office building with an interior floor area over 4,000 square feet.
Second?
Motion and second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Gold?
Yes.
Commissioner Haig?
Yes.
Commissioner Host?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gall?
Yes.
Commissioner Kozowski?
Yes.
Mayor Ballard?
Yes.
Commissioner Priestley?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
You bet. Next up, we have are we ready for the fiscal year 24-25 audit? Because we
I
can delay
believe I
it.
saw him sneak in.
You did? Oh, there he is. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we have our finance director, Mary Chaffins.
Good evening, City Commissioners and everyone here tonight. Tonight we have Spencer Tava from Plant Moran presenting the 24-25 fiscal year audit. Unfortunately, Tim St. Andrews couldn't be here. He's not feeling well, so we wish him a speedy recovery. He's usually here every year. I am happy to share that the audit went smoothly this year and with no major hiccups. So we're in good shape. And now I'll turn it over to Spencer for the presentation, and we'll answer any questions you may have.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. As I said, she said, I'm Spencer Tawa, principal at Plant Moran. Tim couldn't make it. I was at the library presenting too, so thanks for potentially shuffling things around. They shuffled around things for me to be first, so I appreciate everyone being accommodating today. As we know, flu is going around, so there's a lot of sickness. So what we're here to do is to present on the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025 audit. So if you want to go to our agenda, so we've created an executive summary on all of the item. We have financial graphs, and then we have our end of audit letter. And then I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. So starting with the executive summary. So what we're hired to do by this commission, if you go to the next slide, is to opine on your financial statements. And what that means is we're going to make sure that we're going to give an opinion on whether your financial statements are materially stated in accordance with the accounting standards in the United States that we follow. And so what we've are happy to report here is we've issued an unmodified opinion. That is the highest form of assurance that we could give, and that should be the only opinion that this board, this commission accepts. In addition to the financial statement audit that we do, we also performed an alternative compliance examination engagement. This relates to the ARPA federal funding that was received. The city used about $400,000 this year. And as part of some of the processes, you're allowed to do an examination instead of what we call a single audit. And so happy to report on that. No findings were found on that separate audit as well. A couple of the financial statement highlights we have here is your general fund balance that increased by approximately $4.1 million during the year. Approximately $30 million was invested in city infrastructure, machinery, and equipment. Federal grants revenue, as I mentioned, was about $1 million in total, and that included about the $400,000 of the use of the ARPA money. And then your pension and OPEB liabilities, your retiree health care liabilities, these are significant liabilities at a lot of communities, a lot of costs and that are really eating up in the budget. The city has done a very nice job of managing those costs, those legacy costs. Your pension system's about what we call 86% funded. What that means is you hire an outside actuary to calculate, all right, what is our liability as of a certain date for our expected liabilities, and then you've also set aside money in a trust to pay those liabilities. And so the amount you've set aside over the liabilities, you're at 86% funded of the plan. The retiree health care system, on the other hand, is actually 142% funded, so it's overfunded. That is definitely an increase from last year. Last year was well funded at 95%. This year it's increased by 100 to 142%. This is due to changes in the plan. This was all post-65 retirees were converted to a Medicare Advantage plan, and this really helped increase those, decrease your liabilities and increase your funded percentage. All right, so moving on to the next slide. So what we've done for the financial statements, your annual comprehensive financial report, it's 147 pages. We've condensed it. We're not going to go over every page, so we've condensed it into a few short slides here on what we think would be pertinent for this commission. So we'll start off by discussing the number one source of your revenue, which is property taxes. And so the two main components of determining the amount of tax that the city levies is the taxable value of the city's properties, as well as the millage that the city assesses. So as you can see here in the graph, back in 2011, 2013, there was significant decreases in property tax values during the Great Recession. As you can see, since 2013, up until now, 2025, your taxable value has steadily increased. It's been increasing by about 5 to 7% over the past few years, and you're at about $3.5 billion in 2025 in taxable value. The growth really is because of the continued redevelopment at the city that is really keeping the city on solid footing. Moving on to the next page. So the second main component of your taxes or your property taxes is the millage assessed. And so on this slide, the green line you see there, that shows the maximum that the city can levy based on the Headley Amendment and Proposal A, which are state laws that really limits the amount of taxes that the city can assess or can levy. So as you can see, the maximum amount that the city can levy has gone down as a result of the Headley rollback, but the city has still been able to maintain that same cushion between the amount levied and the maximum that can be levied, and that's that bottom line right there. That's the current property levy. This is really due to prudent management by the city, by able to keeping a cushion between the maximum amount levied and the amount that you are actually levying. So if we move on to the next slide, so one thing we like to always point out is not every dollar that the city levies stays at the city. So sometimes a taxpayer sees their tax bill goes out and thinks that it's all coming into the city, but that's not true. The city, which will include city operating, refuse, and debt services, along with the library, about 34% that a taxpayer pays in taxes goes to the city. 50% goes to schools, and then the remainder goes to, county, SMART, other entities that the city is responsible for collecting and then remitting to those agencies. So we always like to kind of present that just to show that, a lot of citizens think that every penny that goes to the city is all coming into the city, but that's just not the case. All right, moving on to the next slide. We'll go over your governmental funds, revenue expenses, and fund balances over the past 6 years. So the governmental funds that we're talking about here, they include your general fund as well as funds like solid waste, parks and recreation, and then your capital projects. So in this slide, the green bar that you see here, that's revenues of the city. Orange is the expenditures, and then we have your fund balance as that line going across the page. So this year, the city's governmental funds in total had operating revenues about $59.7 million. Expenditures came in at $54.4 million. Revenues had increased by about $1.8 million, again, mostly from the increase in your property tax revenues. And then expenses went up about $3.2 million, and that really relates to increases in public safety and public work costs. The city has done really well in managing its fund balance, which now stands at about $55.9 million. Going to the next page. So this is just looking at the general fund's amended budget to actual expenditures over the past years. So as has been the case over the past 5 years, expenditures came in less than the budget this year at around 10%. Expenditures were lower mostly due to lower public work costs. And this was due to unfinished projects at year end. But really, cost in most other categories also came in lower in the current year. So we also do want to commend the city for budgeting on a three-year basis, as this really allows you to plan ahead and proactively for the future. So I always want to point that out because not every city does that. All right, next slide. So this shows the capital investments for the city over the past 5 years. So in the current year, capital expenditures did increase over last year as a result of additional road and construction work done throughout the year, specifically with the Reading Road improvement, as well as Arlington, Shirley, and Brandon projects. Depreciation on that city's capital assets has stayed consistent, and as you can see, the city is really investing more in the capital than amounts are getting depreciated or losing values, which is a really nice thing. Moving on to the next page. Now, this is the capital investments in the enterprise funds. So the enterprise funds, this includes your water and sewer, parking, as well as your golf courses over the past 5 years. So in the current year, capital expenditures increased significantly to approximately $3.9 million. And this relates to major projects such as the Reading Road, sewer, and water main improvements, as well as the Arlington, Shirley, and Brandon projects, which also had water and sewer capital investments as well. Okay, moving on to the next slide. So this is the pension and retiree health care funding comparisons. So currently the city has a liability of $17.2 million recorded for its pension liabilities, and then an OPEB asset. So as I said, it was overfunded. OPEB's overfunded the retiree health care. So there's an asset of $16.3 million in there. This is in comparison to $21.8 million for your pension liabilities last year, and then $2.9 million liability for your retiree health care last year. So improvements in both of those during the fiscal year. So what this graph does is it compares the city's funding level to that of other communities in the state, as well as your neighbors within Oakland County. And this data is based on 2024, as that's like the most recent data that's available to us. So not even using your 25 data, which shows 142% funded for your healthcare. But even with that, you could still see that the city is well ahead of its counterparts. Even for retirement, it looks like it's lower for for the county, but that relates to there's one retirement system that's significantly overfunded by $153 million. If you exclude that plan out of it, the county average is about 80%. So the city is higher than the average for the counterparts as well. Okay, so that summarizes the our financial statements. What we'll do is we'll go over the end of audit letter. So in the beginning of our audit, we send out what we call a pre-audit letter. It's a plan, scope, and timing. It goes over, here's what our plan is, here's our scope of the audits, and then our timing for the audit. This is a follow-up to that, finalizes our audit, and goes through anything that we've identified as internal control deficiencies, as well as required communication from the auditing standard. So happy to report there were no internal control deficiencies that we identified. So that's a testament to the accounting and the finance group's financial records that they provided to us, and their control surrounding your financial records. In addition, there is required communication from the auditing standards that we've listed out here. A couple things to note, there was a new accounting standard that was implemented this year. It's GASB 101. It's related to compensated absences. There was a change. It required you to retroactively change your prior financial statements as well from a comparison standpoint, which was about $1.6 million. It just changes in how compensated absences was to be determined and calculated. There were no transactions, significant transactions that recognized in different periods. And then we're also required to inform the commissioners on any significant management estimates in your financial statements. And the most significant financial statement estimate in your financials are those pension and OPEB liabilities. So the actuary, obtains information from the city, demographic information on all your members that are part of these plans, and then they'll use assumptions, significant assumptions, such as what your expected rate of return on the investments are going to be, what's mortality rates, what they're going to expect, they're going to project out how long they expect individuals to live for, and so those are significant estimates that go into that calculations, and so that's a significant estimate in your financial statements. And the last point here, always like to point this out, we had no difficulties or disagreements with management in performing the audit, and definitely want to thank everyone at the city for helping us during the audit. There's numerous requests that we have, so we appreciate everyone's help with the audit and for us to be able to present today on the results of the audit. With that being said, happy to take any questions you might have.
Well, thank you very much. That's excellent presentation, and I think we should all be proud of the financial situation. Before we get to questions, there's no action to be taken tonight. We don't have to accept this report. It is what it is. Could you just review for us exactly where this report fits into our financial cycle? And so you know what I mean.
I will direct that to you, Mary. In terms of
So this is
budgeting
probably the
process
final
and all of
step.
that.
I mean, the first, then we start it all over again, right?
Correct. This would be closing out the year, closing out our books as of 6/30/25, and then in December, we have a presentation after the audit has been completed.
And then we start up again, right?
Correct. We start with budget.
we're already in the throes of budget.
Okay. And we have our long-range planning meeting, and then we have budget, and then budget hearing, and then we just do our thing throughout the year, right? Okay. This occurs to me, raises just a ton of issues, questions that people might have. So let's see where we are tonight, and if it goes on, I could certainly see commissioners and members of the public having a lot of questions that the administration would have to respond to, or the auditors. But does anybody have any specific questions right now they'd like to bring up? Sure.
You mentioned that the rainy day fund was $55.9 million as of, the end of June. What should it be, or what's the industry standard?
Yeah, so it's not we won't call it a rainy day fund. That is what your fund balance, it's your cumulative fund balance, or we'll say assets that you have accumulated as of June 30, 2025. And there is a breakdown of those, we'll say those assets, so they're not all what we call unrestricted. So Well, about 26 million is unassigned. That's to be used for all, general fund activities. You have about 14 million that's already restricted in determining like how some of the revenue that comes in, state shared revenues major roads revenue that comes in, that's only to be used for road projects and whatnot. There's no set answer on what your fund balance should be. There is some guidelines out there that'll say, here's the percentage maybe that your community should be as of a certain point, like a percentage of expenditures. But it really depends on the city's, when taxes are levied, because we could look at this as a point in time. We're only looking at this as a 6/30. And so you could levy taxes the next day, so it could be different. You could also be looking at from a project, capital project management aspect, where if a city has not been keeping up with their capital projects and you're estimating over the next 5 years that you're going to have, $200 million and you only have 55 million, you know what I mean? So it really depends on, it's taking a lot of things in total together of looking at, hey, we're projecting out over the next 5 years, here's what our expenses are for capital project, police cars, whatever it might be. And do we have enough of we're expected revenue to be, property taxes to go up this amount? Do we have enough to cover those over the next 5 years? And I think the city does a really nice job of projecting those out. I mean, I could let the city manager talk about it too, to ensure that, hey, what we have today is sufficient based on our plans for what we need over the next few years.
You mentioned we have a range. It's policy. What is the range?
20 to 40%
And
is
where-
what this commission or previous commissions have agreed on in the past.
Right.
And we are at the higher end of that range currently.
Where are we?
Last time I looked, it's 38.
38%.
Okay. So, yeah, which is one of the sort of questions that I don't think it's appropriate to discuss tonight, but, what if we got to 42%? Commissioner Host, you had a further question?
No, in fact, that really answers my question, that it could be as low as 20 or as high as 40, and so we're at the high end.
Right. Commissioner Kozlowski.
So this is maybe going to sound like a very strange question, but we talked about how our retirement funds are somewhere in the 83% funded range. Is it desirable for that number to be 100%? Or is there should we be thinking, oh, we're underfunding, or 83, it's above average? Are we saying, well, actually, we're probably doing okay? How should we think about that number?
So you're actually higher than 83%. So you're at 86%.
86%, my mistake, sorry.
For your pension, and then 142% for your health care.
Right.
So yes, it's desirable to be at 100%, sure, but the main thing is it's the annual costs that go into it, the contributions that the city makes on an annual basis to fund those. I think that's what's more important, is making sure that number gets to stay at a reasonable amount to keep your plan funded at close to 100%, where it doesn't really impair your budget enough that it impacts other city services. So as long as that amount stays at a consistent or a reasonable number, that's what's maybe more important than what your funded level. Now, naturally, if your funded level is higher, your contributions should stay at a lower amount, but it could also mean you might be hired to keep that funded level and based on your amortization policy. But I would more so look at, hey, what are our annual contributions that the actuary is requiring us to make or determining to make, and is that number a reasonable number that the city can handle from its budget perspective that's not going to impair other services? Because that's what's happening in a lot of other places. They're underfunded, they're making significant contributions where a significant percent of their budget is going towards these legacy costs instead of current services to the community.
Is there not law regarding what must be funded, the level? Isn't there a state law that says we have to be at a certain point?
There's not a state law that says you have to be at a certain level. There is now a point where if you're under a certain level, the state will require a corrective action plan. But the state does require that an actuary come in, determine what your annual required annual contributions are, and that you fund those fully. That is the state law of making sure that the pension plan is funded fully for the contributions that they're determining on an annual basis.
And Commissioner Kozlowski, we have been making additional, up till about a year ago, right? We were making additional.
$1 million a year or so.
Right. So a policy policy question to be discussed, a policy question to be discussed. When we talk about infrastructure spending and how much we want to spend next year, policy questions to be discussed. They're giving us the data. They're telling us how much money we've got and how much money we've got coming in. And it's pretty extraordinary, I would say. Revenues are up, expenses are down. We're in pretty good shape. Does anyone in the public have any questions for the auditor or online? Further questions on the commission? Yes. Commissioner Cole.
So of that money that's sitting there, so if we're on the high of 38%, I think is the number you used, can we just say, look, we need to get the undeveloped roads done. We're going to take 20 million and just spend it.
Well, that's,
accelerate that.
I'll answer that question. That's a policy question, and that's what I'm suggesting, that we might think about building maybe a workshop where we all put our questions, down on paper. So that's an excellent question. And then we can discuss it, and the appropriate time to discuss it would be before you do the budget, right?
Yes, to a certain extent.
But that's tight. Time is tight, right?
Right, and I've had this discussion with Mary many times, that when we have, since we're currently asking the departments to submit their budgets for the upcoming year, 3 years out, then we have to look at where we stand and get our estimates for how much we're going to collect, how much we're going to spend, and we don't have those numbers until end of February, March. So it's really hard, because I figured this is where you're going. What we're going to try to do this year is try to give you a better idea of where we stand at long-range planning, at least a summary. We can't give you actual amounts or numbers for sure, but what we can say is, overall the asks have been up this much. There's this many more positions that are requested. This may leave us some money to potentially put an extra 5 or 10 million into infrastructure projects, for instance. But we won't know the final numbers until
I'm not sure
March or April.
What do you mean by final numbers? Aren't these the final numbers
From last year.
From last year, right. So there's a full year in between these numbers and our next budgeting cycle? A full year or half a year?
Yeah, because
we have, so we're going to have July 1st, 2025 till 6/30/26 that we're in right now.
Okay.
And then the budget we're working on is for the following year.
Right.
Are you done?
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Okay.
There was a logical next question, but I'll wait.
Go for it if you want.
No, go ahead.
On the operating levy comparison, what was the significance of financial year 22 operating levy being used as a benchmark? Back to a couple of slides. This one. Keep going. Keep going. This one.
It's just, that's the first year that we had presented. That's all. We were just trying to present 5 years, and so all we did was just go back to 2022. We just went back to 5 years ago.
Okay.
There was no significance of that. It was just, hey, we went back 5 years to show a comparison over the past 5 years.
All right, but that's not really 5 years because they're showing 26, and you just said this is auditing effectively 24. But never mind, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not a debate. It's just I wanted to know. Next one, and it's just personal curiosity. On the OMB revisions to the uniform guidance, what does increase the de minimis indirect cost rate from 10% to 15% mean to us in lay terms? Because it means nothing to me, but it clearly is important.
So there is policy that's being, that the city might be using for allocating some indirect cost for some of the grants. And the previous rules were 10%. Now it's saying you could increase it to 15%. I'm not exactly sure how much of the departments use that, if you're using it much at all. But that's just a new federal grant rule that they're using on what you could allocate towards a grant to use their expenditures, to use for those funds.
Okay. Good to know.
Commissioner Long.
Just to, an addendum to Commissioner Kolb's question about the 55.9 million. or the rainy day fund, it's not 55.9 million that we can play with. The unassigned fund balance is 26 million. That is where we have discretion. The rest of the money is restricted or assigned or required to be held for certain other purposes. So it's 26, not 55, should members of the audience think that we're sitting on 55.9. We are not. It's the key number, the key phrase is unassigned fund balance, and that's 26.
But isn't some of that other money that you're suggesting isn't discretionary for roads, sewers, water, right? Isn't
Some of it may be, but it's also for golf courses,
Right.
for the parking
Right.
system.
right?
Right.
Right.
So
I mean, it's still,
Still big.
yeah, it's still money that can go into those particular things. Yes, sir.
One other point.
Commissioner Long.
Probably time for another night, another discussion, but addressing what Commissioner Kolb said, just throwing 20 million at it, we can't shut down this city and do that many roads. I don't know, we've thrown a lot of money at roads. We had that graph up before. I don't know what the number was, 16, 14 million or something like that this last year.
I believe
And
it was 29.
29 million, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but there's a number of roads that I wanted to turn down for a number of periods of months that I couldn't because of what we were doing. Willits was closed down, a lot of business owners suffered. Those roads need to be done, but it can't all be done at once, even if we wanted to spend the money. There is a process to it, and I would, again, time for another discussion, for another night, but I just don't want the public also to think that if we wanted to do that, there are also limitations on that process. And so we can't shut the city down summer after summer after summer by closing down 6, 7, 8, 9 streets for a lot of different reasons: safety, fire department, numero uno one of probably many reasons. So just food for thought.
Qualified contractors.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the commission? Anything from the public? Online, use the raise your hand function. Thank you very much.
Thank
We'll
you.
move on to the next item.
Thank you.
Next item is a resolution to approve BCT Design Group's schematic designs for the Peabody Piers Park and North Old Woodward parking garages, and authorize city staff and BCT to incorporate the approved concepts into the ongoing comprehensive repair project, including integration into future bid packages. Aaron Ford, our parking manager, is here, along with representatives of BCT. Hello. Nice to see you again. Mr. Ford, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good evening. Good to see everyone again. Here to talk about beautification of our parking garages. So as most of the members of this committee would recall, and actually the two newer members would still recall because they were part of the advisory parking committee, we are in the middle of a comprehensive repair project of our 5 parking garages, and of which we've now kind of tied into this comprehensive repair project is incorporating BCT Design Group's designs to try to make the garages more appealing in a variety of ways. We started, as this commission will remember, we started with the Chester Street garage. And when we started there, if you recall, we pulled the lighting components out of the project, but we proceeded with a lot of the painting components. Back in August, Brian and Darko from Illuminart were here, and the commission signed off on the approved concepts of the Chester Street garage. So what has been incorporated today has been the accent paint. The Public Arts Board is in the middle of working on mural components of the parking garages. But what is still left, I guess, to happen today, specifically to Chester, are the lighting components and some of the other design components that were approved, which were like the canopies over the pedestrian walkways, stuff like that. But what we're here for today is to show you, take the approved designs from Chester Street and apply them to the remaining 4 garages, and hoping that the commission will sign off on those. And then what we'll do is take those designs and incorporate those into the comprehensive repair project that is going on for each garage. So the next garage to go would be the Peabody garage. So if the concepts were approved today, when we go to bid for the repair project at the Chester garage, previously the repair project would have been the concrete, waterproofing, that type of stuff. Now we'll take VCT's designs, incorporate those into, so the bid package would be a holistic repair project. It wouldn't just be concrete, it would be everything. So when we're done with Peabody, it would be a completely finished project. Whereas we were not able to do that with Chester. Chester, we kind of are piecemealing it just because of the cadence we went. So we'll go back and do Chester independently. So today is more specifically about the remaining 4 parking garages. And then, like I said, when we get to each individual garage, a lot of the costs that are associated with BCT's designs would be included in those comprehensive repair packages. So today, there won't be a whole lot of cost talked about today. Today's more just about the designs, and then when we go through the repairs, the cost will be built in. So I will turn it over to Brian with his presentation.
Thanks again for having us. Yeah, we're going to go through the last 4 garages. They're all a little bit unique, but we're trying to create the same kind of components that we have in the Chester garage. I'm going to go through quite a bit of slides very quickly, but I probably will focus on the first garage because a lot of the same concepts apply as we go, and I'll point out the differences. So the first one is the Pierce garage.
Peabody.
Sorry, Peabody, yes, thank you. Peabody garage, you have some very strong, it's one of the newer garages, but you have very strong vertical elements. Again, one of the key points we want to do is kind of focus on those things that can be kind of a beacon. So we're including painting the interiors of these large glass elements here. You have like the lobby on the left, and then using vertical elements for what we're loosely calling murals, but these would be these branding / opportunities for you to have, placemaking signage that can advertise the garage as being 2 hours free. It could be art, it could be some kind of expression of the city as an additional banner on the side of the mural. This one does have a lot of existing curtain wall on the facilities that is peeling and spalling on the exterior. It's actually not structural. I think it's either been repainted or the paint coating is failing. We're just suggesting that those would be removed and new caps, new extrusions could be added onto the exterior that are more black or gray, so it kind of is more neutral. We'll get rid of all the red accents, as this garage from the wayfinding exercise was proposed to be orange. So, which we think fits with the brick very well and keeps a warm kind of approach to it. As you'll see, there's entrances to the vehicular entrances and pedestrians. We want to continue to accent those with some kind of portal. So you have a lot of light. I actually was almost hit coming out of one of the garages today. So we want to have a lot of light there where those people are passing and crossing and sheltering people as they're getting their tickets and crossing in front of the traffic. Most of those interiors, we're trying
Brian,
to...
can I interrupt?
Go ahead, yes, absolutely.
If anyone has any questions at any point, I think, go ahead and fire away, okay?
Absolutely.
Rather than...
Brian,
Jump all over the place.
were you coming out of the structure on Park
I was over here by Pierce.
and almost got
Yeah,
T-boned?
somebody's taking a ticket, and then it's dark outside. There's not a lot of light right in front of the entrance. They're coming out of a lot of light, right?
So your lighting thoughts would be
You would have a
exterior
lot of light
lighting.
as you're kind of entering and exiting the building, where your eyes are adjusting a lot. You want to do that naturally anyway, but also the canopies help to do that at the sidewalk level, as you're kind of protecting people from walking in front of the traffic. It also helps to designate the entrance, something that these garages kind of lack as placemaking. Then as we go in the interior, again, we're mostly painting the garage interiors white. We're accenting the areas that we find we want the pedestrians to go, or that there's kind of key turning points, key collision points So there's just like, hey, I need to be observant here, or I need to know where to go. And so this garage again is orange. We have some opportunities where there's block walls inside that we can paint those orange. You know, they'll be lit interior, so they'll beacon again from the exterior, kind of reminding people like where, you know, which place they're in, which garage they're in. We can keep going. This one has some lobbies that have some interior storefronts or varying conditions on different floors. We want to just kind of homogenize those, remove a lot of those barriers, and you know, just focus on the ones that keep vehicles out of the lobby, but you know, make it easy to get in and out, you know, without ADA issues. And then opportunities for, again, some placemaking inside. Is there a mural? This particular wall on the next page is in the lower level, but it's actually everyone passes by this location as you go into the garage. You go into this first. This is an opportunity here. We're just suggesting a graphic, but it could be really anything from the arts board, just something that's placemaking that reminds you where you are, your kind of arrival point, you know, maybe what you're going to see in the city if you're a visitor. And as you're waiting for the elevator, an opportunity to, you know, pause before you go upstairs. Then you're seeing, again, that's a conflict point on the next page where we have some crossover vehiculars happening. We just want to kind of really identify which way to go for an exit versus continuing on. The next couple of pages kind of show that in detail, showing, you know, the painting kind of plans. And then the lighting in this garage, we are proposing to do very similar fixtures. It's kind of a hybrid. It's not quite too low. It's very similar to Chester. We would have the same kind of fixtures that have an uplight, indirect light, and then we're using linear fixtures at those accent points. So you'll see some around the stair entrances and at the canopies.
Does this incorporate the restraint?
I can pause, or I can move on to the Pierce garage. Okay, the Pierce garage, really interesting garage. It's one of those garages you start looking at more and more, and you realize it's kind of an interesting asset. You know, very low-slung, kind of what we call brutalist architecture. But it does have these opportunities with these large columns for the stair enclosures, again, to add, you know, banners, advertising elements / art, and accentuate the vertical circulation for the pedestrian, as well as identify that it's a parking garage. Very hard to tell where the entrance is here, so we're trying to accent it with a little bit of an eyebrow canopy. The building's already projecting out, so just a small element here to give us spot for signage, opportunity for lighting, and light that area in front. That was right there where I was, had a conflict point today. And then we're lighting the ceiling there, or I'm sorry, painting the ceiling, the accent color to, again, denote the entrance. As you get into the interior of the garage, so this garage is already painted white. It's really, really low. I mean, it's about as low as you can make a ceiling without hitting it with your car. One of the suggestions we've done this in other garages, particularly underground garages, is to paint the ceiling darker color. I think these images make it a little darker than they actually are, but a medium to kind of charcoal kind of gray. And the reasoning for doing that is to kind of help the peripheral feel brighter. So you get a wider space, kind of horizontal, as opposed to vertical. Since you can't really reflect the light off the ceiling, as you kind of see in there, you get a lot of glare spots. So we darken the ceiling kind of like you would do in like a dry fall in the basement, and you would accent that with linear lights here to kind of help the wayfinding, but also, you know, create some visual interest. And we would use lighting along in front of the cars to kind of get rid of those dark spots. One of the problems with the garage right now is there's a lot of dark spots, so it feels darker than it actually is.
Is that dark ceiling something you might are doing in any of the other structures?
There was one other garage we potentially proposed it for. We did not do it because it's already been painted white, but we typically would do this in low decks. So I think the old Woodward is the other garage that has a very similar structure. It has been recently painted, so didn't necessarily suggest it. The nice thing here is it's paint. We can mock it up and see if that works if we want to suggest something different. But we've had some success with this in basement garages. Old Woodward also does get a lot more light. This has very high crash walls on the side, so you don't get a lot of bouncing light, and even during the bright sunny days.
I like the linear lights. I like the linear lights.
Yeah, we think they double as wayfinding as well as, you know, just some visual interest. aesthetically pleasing. They are
Just
more costly.
jump in.
Yeah,
We want to use them minimally.
you know, Pierce and North Old Woodward have low ceilings.
Correct.
Have we had any problems with that? I mean, vehicles that, you know, I get a lot of videos on these things with bridges, but do we have a real problem with the lower height?
North Roll Woodward, no, but there's also the surface lot component that's kind of tied into it. But we generally, no. Pierce, the only issues we really have run into is somebody comes in with a roof rack. But generally, as a rule of thumb, like the car itself, no. It's just.
We do have a sign that says how high it is, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think almost every time I park in a structure, I hear that sign clunk as well.
It says
someone.
6'3".
Yeah.
So,
It is the lowest garage.
So a Chevy Silverado won't fit in there because my son just got one, and I said to him, "Make sure you look. It's going to be like 6'5", and so a Chevy Silverado. That's actually pictured.
some people
A Ford F-150 is pictured in front of it in one of the pictures. That probably wouldn't fit in there either. But anyway.
Another thing I want to mention here is like you can't even hang signage really in it because you don't have the head height. So you have to do it on the column. So as opposed to painting every column yellow, this is something different from your wayfinding thing. We would just say paint the ones where the big super graphics are that really direct people towards an exit in the vehicle, and use the pedestrian signs as you see there on the left on white so they're clearly identifiable. And then the top right corner, you have an entrance that's off the north side, yes, on the park that's there. I think there's an opportunity to maybe put a small little canopy there, just as like a portico to encourage people to use that. It's very directly to the city, and I think a nice asset.
Is the idea with all these canopies that they would be, because sometimes you see these little canopies that are just kind of slats, are these going to be totally impermeable?
Most of them would be what we call eyebrow canopies. It would be very short projection, short throw, so they won't retain a lot of snow or water.
Okay.
You know, and in many cases like that one there, we would try to drain that because it is projecting over the entire bridge, but that'll help protect slipping and falls on that bridge as well. And we can drain those to the planting areas that are around.
Okay, good.
Okay. Next page, so you'll see the lobbies here. Again, accenting using the yellow around the lobby to push your eye to that, using the linear fixtures to push your eye to that, as well as brightening that area where those conflict points are. On the interior of the stair, it's mostly just painted yellow, and some new finishes there on the stairs that have really worn down over the years. I think there's some maintenance there that will need to be continued to coordinate with WJE.
Yeah, the railings and the stairwells
Yeah,
would be
there's
addressed as part of
probably
WJE scope, for sure.
That's the gist of that one. So yeah, the next one's the plans. You see those lights. Old Woodward. So again, lower garage here. I think the big focus here really is on the exterior facade. There's options here on the right that we've kind of mocked up. One of those on the left. You'll see it really far at the bottom there. There's the old picture of what it used to look like. We did have these ribs on there. We were trying to call back with that as an option. These would be some kind of simple aluminum rib that would be just attached at each floor. And the real point here is to want to continue the city fabric, of not having this just gap in the architecture. Try to reduce some of the visibility to cars and traffic lights that are in there. There's one at the bottom on the right that's more of a panelized system as opposed to a rib, but it'd be a simple attachment that would be, structurally sound, but would be more architectural than anything. You also see here at the top of the stair towers, there are some eyebrow functions, so we can light those, very similar to some of the other architecture on the adjacent buildings, just trying to kind of homogenize it into the city fabric a little bit more and create some more beacons. And then you'll see it here on the banner on the left, there's existing art that's on the face of one of the stair towers. Thought those things could kind of be combined just to break up the blank spaces. You actually do really see that very well from down Woodward, so it could be advertising the garage, but also just the city fabric. As you go to the next page, the actual entrances on the back side, as Aaron was alluding to, so still an opportunity to just keep that same element through all the garages of a small eyebrow canopy to help focus on where that entrance is. We are showing the facade on all four sides of the building. We know there's some issues with some of the adjacent tenancies with light. So we were showing that, but there was options to, reduce that if costs became unburdensome. But you do see this from all aspects of the project. And then as we go into the interior, again, the same, kind of identifying those stair towers, those elevator lobbies, painting them. This is the blue accent. This was the one garage is also very low. That's actually a little bit taller than the previous one, but still has the same kind of structure. It's already been pre-painted white, pretty good shape, so we didn't suggest it here.
Right.
You get a lot of contrast from the color scheme anyway. And then you'll see on the next page is the plan. So we are also doing those conflict points where there's some turning traffic with some paint on the ceiling. The last one is Park Street Garage. This one has some interesting issues with the panels that are, we call the spandrel panels. It's the panel in front of the garage. They're not really structural, pretty much falling off the building. They're probably going to need to be removed, so we are suggesting, again, a new facade element. And talking with WJE, that needs to come off the structure. So we like that idea of accentuating the structure, the vertical structure. Garages tend to be very horizontal. So there's some opportunity there. We're showing this again, kind of panelized grill-like system just to, create some screening. One of the issues I see with this garage is you get a lot of light pollution from it. It's one of the brightest garages on the interior, which is great, but not great when you have a lot of residential nearby. So there might be opportunities to kind of reduce that light pollution, particularly on Park Street there.
When you say light pollution, you mean light emanating from the garage?
Correct.
To the out?
Correct.
Okay.
So you look at it at night, it looks like an airport parking garage. Which is great, but we want to keep that light on the inside as much as we can.
That raises the question. Lighting, are there motion detectors that turn it on when a car comes through and then it goes off? Or is it always on?
I don't know if there currently are in, but you can do that. We can reduce.
Well, is that something you talk about light pollution and,
Hello. Yes, the current code actually requires that when there's no occupant detected in a space, that the light dims to a certain level. And there are government guidelines for that, the code guidelines, I should say. And then if there's further no more occupant detection, then it shuts off until it does see occupant again. That is also programmable so that if somebody, let's say the lights are off because nobody's been in a deck for 2 hours, when the first area comes on, it can be programmed so the lights pretty far along the way turn on. It doesn't wait till you necessarily get there and then boom, they come on and startle you or something like that. But there is a code that drives that, yes.
So our new lighting will conform with that, with what you just described?
It's a code, yes.
Great.
Yeah. Before you go, sir, I have a basic question. I find white lights are very difficult on my eyes, whereas the yellow, muted, dull color is very pleasing to my eyes. Is there something wrong with me, or?
You're pretty normal in that regard.
Let me ask you this way. Everybody's eye, left eye and the right eye are not the same. Mine aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of my eyes are same as your eyes. We all see slightly differently, and we all have some deficiency within our visual system. Some of it is due to aging. How our eyes age, that further can deplete how we see light. So is something wrong with you? I will have to defer to your physician.
Yeah, but the park is very bright. I was pleased that Brian pointed that out.
There is an aspect of color temperature for lighting that could be perceived brighter than the other color temperatures. That's a long story that I don't want to bore you all with, of who, how, where, and why. But when we get into the higher, bluer color temperatures, that we sometimes consider using lower brightness level because that color temperature is most sensitive to healthy human eye. So there is that possibility.
What are you proposing? You looking at the 2,000 to 3,000 Ks versus 7s?
I am a big proponent of about 2,700 to 3,000 Kelvin, very warm color temperatures. What we're proposing for this deck, I believe, was 35? 30. The 3,500 degree color temperature is what I call neutral. When you get into 4,000, it gets way too blue, in my opinion. If you get into 3,000, it becomes very hospitality-like, kind of like hotel lobbies. So I like it right in between. Gives you opportunity to have at least half people like it, only half not like it, versus 20% like it and the rest not.
Yeah,
answer your question.
Jump in.
I really like the metal panels. I think that these garages need some type of updating. I like this, at first glance, looks like almost like an office building, and then you're, oh no, it's a garage. I think and I like the fact that it will also help reflect the light inward rather than outward, in addition to adjusting the light. So I think those are great options.
So on these facade suggestions, you're saying they're just suggestions, but let's say we said, well, we really like that.
Yeah.
Are you specifying it? And
We would in the next phase of the project.
okay.
I think the idea really here is like a facade. How much of it do we want a facade? We have to explore, doing it in piecemeal versus just doing mostly park where the shading would be most
And
prevalent.
if we said, can you show us 3 options, would that?
Yeah, we could do that
Okay.
in the next phase. Yeah, this was.
At
what-
3 price points.
Right,
Yeah,
right, of
absolutely.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Jump in.
This is for Aaron. On the top of Park Street, I assume there's some solar lamps that go on when there's activity on the top of the top floor.
Right now, it's a photo eye, so when it gets dark, the lights come on, and obviously, and the sun comes up, then they turn off automatically.
Yeah, but, it goes on and off depending on, I assume, the activity on the
No,
roof.
he just said dusk to
No.
dawn. Dusk to dawn, correct?
Yes, Darko might be
Now,
able to explain. Currently, they're
But
just either on or off.
that will change with the new lighting to the motion detection. Am I correct, pretty much in that?
Actually, does that
Right now,
apply
it's dusk to dawn.
Does that apply to rooftop lighting?
The roof will have combination so that photocell will be first level of control. If it gets dark, it'll say, all right, if there's lights should come on, but it'll first look for occupant before it actually does it. So that it's got levels of control that are required, again, driven by code.
So that can be completely off, even though it's a rooftop?
It can be, yes. And there is a part of the code that requires, unless the deck is open 24/7, that after a certain time, I believe it's 2 o'clock at night, you have a time clock, yet another level of control that would turn them off. So yeah, there's levels of control that we have to comply with by code.
So Commissioner Host lives adjacent to the Park Street deck, and we'll be relying on him to report back to us on how.
Particularly at 3 a.m.
Right now, they're either on or they're off. So at nighttime, they turn on, they just burn the same brightness until the morning time.
Oof.
Okay, Brian.
Okay, almost done here. Yeah, just last couple of pictures. This one is kind of plaza area facing southwest there. So a pedestrian canopy, this is where the elevators are, so doing that here. We're showing some options for bike parking, and under there would be an option. But it looks like there was already a screen possibly for that at one point, just never was either installed.
Yeah, is the bike parking sort of part of this project?
Not
or is it-
necessarily, we're just suggesting it could be advertised.
That would be up to us.
Yeah.
Encourages.
It's not an expensive ad, though. Really, no.
Said it is expensive?
It
Or?
isn't. I bought those racks before
Oh.
for a property I used to own.
Yeah, I was thinking compared to what we're spending on this stuff, a bike rack is probably going to be decent.
Yeah, adding a few of those is a rounding error.
No, we have to figure out where we want to put them, though, is, I think.
Okay, let's let Brian finish out.
These are great comments. And then, yeah, the stair towers, again, these are very closed stair towers. They've got a lot of functions, so we want to paint those. And then as you go into the garage, again, focusing on the tower elements, the pedestrian elements. Pretty simple. This one has a lot of height. It's a steel garage. Pretty rare to do these days, but you got a lot of brightness in there. A lot of spots to reflect light. Yeah, so then you're seeing the lighting plan there. This would have very similar lighting to Chester, a dropped pendant, and then we're using the linear fixtures at the periphery. So that generally concludes our.
Great. So I have an observation, and that is that the Chester deck is, first of all, thank you. Very nice. This is like the dream come true. Literally. I mean, 10 years ago I was thinking about this. So thank you. This is awesome. As far as approving it and saying go ahead with it, my concern is that the Chester deck is not done yet. And while I trust that it's going to be beautiful, and I'm not going to have any concerns about too much light, too little light, whatever, I'd feel a whole lot better saying, this is okay. I can say this is okay now, but I sure would like to see the Chester deck done and have each of us be able to drive through it, look at it, experience it, and then say, yeah, that's the model, that's what we want, this matches up with that. That's my comment. I'm happy to.
I can't disagree with that.
Aaron, when's the completion date to your estimation?
Well, right now, it is done with what has been scoped. So we are going out and we are compiling the numbers. So WJ and BECT are working together to put together a proposal for us to go to bid for these. So we're actually probably further along with Peabody than we would be with Chester at this point. Because right now, they're putting all their resources into going to bid for Peabody as the next garage. Now, Chester has the least amount left to do. It's going to be the canopies and the lighting. So it wouldn't take long for us to do that, and it's obviously on our roadmap for immediate, but I would say they're probably actually further along with Peabody than they are with Chester.
I'm confused.
So, but Chester doesn't have murals, doesn't have lights. It just has the green.
Green accent.
It doesn't have any of the graphics, the wayfinding, the lettering. It doesn't have any of that yet, right?
Correct.
So
we had a lot of talk about Chester's lighting and a lot of debate about that.
Right.
So you've approved the designs for Chester, but we haven't gone to bid for the actual project, doing the actual work.
So again, the question is, when are we going to have a parking deck done? I don't care which parking deck that conforms with BCT's design.
Chester could be first. We could go out to bid with that this spring. But for the work to actually be completed, it would be probably mid to fall of 2026.
So is it
9 months?
So are you going to need approval of this to go forward over there before anything is done? Or can we say, beautiful work, thank you, put it on a shelf until some parking deck is done according to these specs?
Well, you'd have to approve Peabody or.
Well, one of them, we've already approved Chester, have we
Right.
not?
Yes, but you have not approved, we have not approved Peabody.
Okay.
And you said this was phase one, so you said screening and stuff in the next phase. So tell us about the phasing. This is concept, correct?
Yeah, from a design standpoint, it's phased.
Right.
So, yeah, we were brought in to give you guys some ideas for the parking garages. We would then, include our next design phase, what we call design development typically, as part of that bid package that would go out. We would develop the design a lot further, especially when we get into the facades. Those are going to take a little more time than just, this is not just printed.
Is it reasonable for us to think one deck ought to be done before we okay the schematic designs on all the others?
What exactly are we okaying right now? Right, it feels like there's
well-
stuff that's still up in the air and that things are going to be in flux until the bid
So
package
it's-
goes out, right?
You're okaying the general, so like with Peabody, you're okaying the accent painting, the graphics saying exit, like that type of stuff, the LED lighting. If it has murals, you're approving the locations. Obviously, the Public Arts Board is working on that. I think to Brian's point, where it's really going to get into is like when you get to the garage, like Park and Old Woodward, where you get the facades, we're going to have to come back to you and ask for a lot more feedback. But generally, you're approving you already have an approved wayfinding signage package, but now you're approving the painting on the beams that say exit, enter, with an arrow pointing, the accent paint,
And the lighting.
and the lighting.
When is the
And the canopies, yeah.
When is
And
the
the canopy.
Peabody bid proposed to go out?
We're aiming for February.
Right.
Right, so
So
that-
to answer your question, the Chester Street deck, if we want to keep on the schedule that we've set over the next couple of years for all of the decks, the Chester Street garage will not be 100% done unless we put off the next deck for a year.
We would need to approve Peabody tonight for them to go out for
Would
comprehensive
Peabody
need.
be done? So which deck will be done first?
Chester will be done first because you've already approved designs for Chester, but we haven't gone to bid for that work. So the bid for Peabody for the actual work will happen before Chester.
Okay, well, so this is a leap of faith, fellow commissioners,
Yeah.
right?
It's a bit
This is a leap of
confusing, the whole
faith.
sequence.
We're going to get 2 decks before we see any. We have to approve 2
Well,
decks.
you can see the design and the colors now in Chester, but you can't
I
see
get that.
the final product.
I get that. We get that. Does everybody get that? Okay.
Right, but from a year standpoint, Chester and Peabody, but then,
Now we're,
like, Park is way down the road.
Correct.
Park is way down the road.
we have plenty of money for this, right? We
Yes.
can
Yes.
afford all what you want to do as quickly as you want to do it.
Correct.
We have a
And if we
plan
wanna
to
do-
budget it year
Including the
by year.
facades?
If we want to do, well,
I don't know how much of it
including the
costs, but-
facades, they can be very expensive.
They can be. It depends. We would have to get the quotes for that. They're not included necessarily in our estimates
We're
at this time.
generating a $10 million-ish a year, right? So.
Okay.
So,
Well, if we are making a decision about lighting, do we have any sort of ballpark about, I know we talked about this back in the APC, how these are sort of special fixtures, they're LEDs, they're like outdoor fixtures, they're supposed to last a long time, but once they die, you pretty much got to like rip them out and replace the whole thing. Is that still more or less the case? And sort of what is like the lifespan of these things? I'm trying to wrap my head around the sort of annualized cost for this lighting.
is that in the scope of what we're talking about?
I mean, if we're
today?
making the decision about, if we approve the lighting today, that's my understanding of what decision we're making.
It's got
like-
a valid question, because I mean, the whole thing about buying LED bulbs that last 20 years, well, I replace them every 4. They don't last 20, so he's got a valid point. If we put it in, it's supposed to last for X number of years, that design's no longer available. Now what? We've got to patchwork on the ceiling again.
Yeah, so I think Aaron has
So,
that.
valid question.
So I will say, we will be coming back to you with more detail and a chance for you to provide feedback with lighting. So whether it's Chester for going out to bid, we're going to come back to you with a bid package of where you'll be able to pick apart or ask these questions about lighting then. So whether it's Peabody or Chester, we're going to come back to you and say, all right, DCT's scope to design these things is X. The actual cost of this project is going to, the lighting is this. You'll see the breakdown of the labor to install it. The product is this. The canopies is this amount. We're going to come back to you with a bid package of which you could, I guess, ask a lot of these questions then. I think we're just asking you to sign off in theory on these design concepts. But we'll be coming back to you with pricing.
That's fine.
I will also say that I think we have one of the top lighting guys around. Fair to say?
The top lighting guy around.
So, the leap of faith isn't that far. On lighting, everything else, we really haven't seen wayfinding anywhere, right? Are we going to see wayfinding soon, somewhere? Where are we going to first see wayfinding?
First see wayfinding?
Yeah, didn't we approve?
We did, I believe the first ones will be the,
Entry?
No, though, because we're hung up on MDOT
Oh.
for that. So those will probably not be the first.
So you were going like this?
Yeah, the directories, the four-sided directory signs, those will be probably the first ones you'll see.
Okay. Pleasure of the commission.
When it gets to the facades, I really want to look at those because some of those designs are interesting. Some of them look like they gave me some very specific vibes that weren't positive. Like 70s needed to stay in the 70s vibe or what have you.
Fair.
One of the others, it just reminded me of a school I used to drive past in Mexico that had bars on it to protect the children from the outside.
Some of that's rendering technique, yeah.
I really want to look at the facades very carefully, but as far as the lighting, I'm okay with lighting. Or is there things like the linear lighting? Yeah, I like it. Seriously, I think it's a good idea.
Would you like to make a motion?
Some of the colors, I don't know if I'm the right one to make a choice on the colors, but
The colors are already wayfinding.
that's what I mean is...
Right, that's done. I think I'm comfortable moving forward with this. Should we get those two decks finished and we identify concerns, I think we have time to adjust before we get to the farther decks of North Old Woodward and Park, and, those are so far down the road.
Then you
But I don't-
motion it and I'll second it.
I don't want to hold up the Peabody bid package, so.
And quick question before you make a motion. Are we working with the Public Arts Board?
Yes,
Okay.
currently.
And we'll hear an update at some point on what they think. And so, because I see a lot of things in this that are on us to do. It's on us to do these murals. It's on us to do, what do you call the big things outside?
Banners.
Banners. And are they looking at banners as well?
They're looking at the locations for the graphics, so
Including banners?
that's my understanding. It could be a banner, it could be painted, it could be,
Does that include the content of the graphics or just
They're
the
coming up
physical
with
location?
themes, like
Themes, yeah.
the mural themes, and then they're going to bring those themes to use. So obviously the themes will follow the colors. So like Chester was green, so they have a theme that's going to follow a green theme there and bring those concepts. And I think they are close to coming to the commission with their thoughts.
All right, then I'd like to make a motion adopting a resolution to approve BCT Designs Group's schematic designs for the Peabody, Pierce Park, and North Old Woodward parking garages, and authorize city staff and BCT to incorporate the approved concepts into the ongoing comprehensive repair project, including integration into future bid packages.
Second.
Comments from the commission on the motion? Comments from the public? If you're online, feel free to use the raise your hand function. Anybody in the room? Seeing none, let's do a roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Anthony Long.
Yes.
Commissioner Kozowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Host.
Yes.
Mayor Ballard.
Yes.
Commissioner Kolb.
Yes.
Commissioner Haig.
Yes.
Commissioner Therese Long.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We're very happy up here.
Same to you.
too.
We move on to item D, a resolution to approve the Birmingham Museum 2026-28 strategic plan, and on the occasion of your 15th anniversary, or whenever that is this year.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little grayer than when I started, I will say that. So, good evening, Commissioners, and I'm here to go over the proposed Birmingham Museum 2026-2028 strategic plan. I'd like to summarize briefly, and then you may have questions, but let me just begin by saying, by 2024, the museum had met or exceeded its previous strategic plan objectives. Our accomplishments really strengthened the museum in multiple ways across several areas, internally and externally. And the museum board, when it was time to look at a new strategic plan, wanted to build on these accomplishments, but to actually kind of start over from the ground up, in a sense, to kind of take the temperature on what's going on now in the museum field. What's the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic? What are our neighbors in other historical museums around here doing, et cetera. So in general, what we did was look at the field over the last 18 months, look at the larger field of best practices and, as I mentioned, current trends, and look at also what the ordinance and our mission require us to do, and then as well to look at what is our community all about right now and what's happening there. And so the resulting strategic plan led to 3 priorities to reflect all of these different factors. We used those 3 priorities to create a survey, and the results of the survey, 155 people responded, demonstrate pretty enthusiastic support for the priorities that we identified. So the final strategic plan does have a little bit more detail. You have it in your packet. I'm sure you've reviewed it, but I wanted to just highlight a couple of things. The survey results themselves begin on page 7 of the plan. And the plan itself is pretty straightforward. It begins on page 17, and it kind of identifies what those priorities are. Under each priority, which is kind of the 30,000-foot view, is a goal. And then under each goal are measurable objectives. The plan also calls for a formal review every 3 years or so, and ongoing progress will be discussed at every museum board meeting on a regular basis. So we'd like to implement the plan at the beginning of January, if possible. And are there any questions?
Commissioners? Sure.
Hey,
Commissioner Host.
am I allowed to make a resolution?
Well, I have a question, but I can make
No, go ahead.
So, this is just a general question. They say that journalism and newspapers write the first draft of history, right? How do you in your industry, if you want to put it that way, your discipline, react when there are no longer journalists writing the first draft?
That is an interesting question. I'm not going to say that I have much of an answer off the top of my head, but what I would tell you is that the way that events are recorded has changed dramatically. So how they used to be recorded and in our historical sense is what we rely on when we go back in time to see, what happened, what do we know about this event, how do we find out about that. What we have today are multiple ways of recording events and sifting through all those different personal videos, Facebook content, everything from TikTok to handwritten notes. It's actually diversified tremendously. So how people will be interpreting that 10, 20, 30 years from now, I'm not sure. But what we're facing is the challenge to take what we know about the past and sift through it and expand its accessibility in the present, usually through some form of digitization, because our goal really is to make information available and allow the public to draw its own conclusions as much as possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I definitely would like a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, a resolution to approve the Birmingham Museum 2026 through 2028 strategic plan.
Second. Motion second. Does this require a roll call? No. No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Pilak. We move on to item E, commission items for future discussion. A motion is required to bring up the item for future discussion. The next reasonable agenda, no discussion on the topic will happen tonight. Commissioner Host.
Hey, I want to point out, we have our organizational chart, and we report to the citizens. Why? Because this particular resolution is of very much importance to that community, and it will be to all of our residents. I'd like to make a motion to discuss the special assessments on Arlington Shirley and the city's designation of, quote, major roads, unquote.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? There will be no discussion on the topic tonight.
I'll second.
Okay. I suppose we can have discussion on the motion, brief, if anyone has an interest in discussing it, or we can move to a vote.
I think it's premature, given that we need to look at this topic in whole, not by individual streets.
Oh, my question would be, when are we going to do that?
We do have a legal opinion also on Arlington Shirley, I believe. I mean, I saw something.
I've already rendered a legal,
Right.
an attorney-client privilege communication about that particular issue. And I will say no more in public, but that a discussion on that is inappropriate. Please go back and review my legal opinion that I gave to you in attorney-client privilege communication as to those streets.
I'm going to have to recuse. Chair's yours.
Okay.
I live on Arlington Shirley.
You have to leave the room.
Seriously? Okay. I need to go to the bathroom anyway.
Call for the vote.
Yeah, so let's just call for a vote.
Roll call or voice?
Just all in favor.
I think I don't think we don't need a roll call.
No,
So just voice. Those in favor?
Yeah.
Those not in favor?
Motion fails.
Yes,
3-3.
motion fails if it's a tie.
Okay. I'll go get the mayor.
He's going to the bathroom. Give him a minute.
He went the other way. Anthony, he went that way.
Oh, I think he is in the response. Give it a second.
Probably can go on to any other.
Any other commission items for future discussion? Okay, we can then move on to commission discussion of items from a prior meeting. Is there any?
None.
None? All right, can I have a resolution to meet in closed session?
First, there's the business, well, now we'll have to wait till the mayor
Now we have to
comes
wait,
back.
okay,
And then I believe Commissioner Haig will be recusing himself.
okay.
Don't you dare leave.
We're going to do any of the other items?
We still have a quorum and a majority possible. You could vote on it.
That particular has to be a two-thirds majority. So I prefer we wait for
We
the
wait
mayor,
for
but
that?
thank you.
Do you, should we do the rest of the agenda, or do you want to wait and do it in order?
Probably do it in order.
Okay. You're back, you're good, Mr. Mayor.
Good timing. Where are we?
G.
Item G. Oh, boy.
I've left him in the bathroom.
Nope.
G.
Item G, resolution, we have a resolution to meet in closed session, and I will allow the reader of the motion to read all that good stuff.
I'll do it if you like.
Please do.
I'd like to make a resolution to meet in closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268, Section 8(1)E of the Open Meetings Act, to discuss the pending litigation entitled the Community House Association, Birmingham, Michigan, Oakland County Circuit, Business Court Case Number 2025-219218 CB. That's before the Honorable Michael Warren, and to consider the purchase or lease of real property up to the time of an option to purchase or lease that real property is obtained pursuant to Open Meetings Act MCL 15.268 closed sessions, permissible purposes, Section 8(1)D.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Therese Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolb,
Yes.
Commissioner Haig,
Recused.
recused, Mayor Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Host,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozowski.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that in a moment. Removed from the consent agenda, we have nothing. Communications, we have none. Reports, we have a notice of intention to appoint to the Multimodal Transportation Board, notice of intention to appoint to the Parks and Recreation Board. We have a couple notice of intention to appoint to the Advisory Parking Committee pending, just if anybody's listening and wants to join. Commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments?
Can I just suggest on the communications that you might want to mention that we received 3 of them here tonight?
Do we,
Or no?
help me out, do we do that? We received some communications. They will be in the next
The next
packet.
communications.
But we could refer
Okay.
to them while
No, you don't have to.
I put them back here. Okay. We have advisory boards, committees, commissioners' reports. Any? I will report that I was invited to a presentation today and attended at the Jewish Federation of Metro Detroit. A family who had been abducted on October 7th and came and spoke. It was quite emotional. They are, a husband and wife were abducted, survived. She spent a couple months in captivity. He spent a year and 3 or 4 months. And it was pretty interesting. So,
Where was it?
at the Jewish Federation,
Oh, okay.
which is on Telegraph, the Max, and Fisher. So that's my report. Legislation, none. City staff, none. Information only, none. And do we need to bang the gavel or anything that we're going into closed session? We'll be going into closed session, so recording continues.
Recording pauses. while we're
Recording
in closed
pauses.
session. Yes.
Recording, is that? Oh, excellent. We've just returned from a closed session in which we discussed attorney-client privilege information and possible acquisition of real estate. Topic, of course, was the community house. Since our last meeting, there have been several developments which I would like to outline. But first, I'd like to direct the community's attention to a book that was published by the community house itself in 1993 entitled The Heart of Birmingham, The Community House Story by Betty and Frank Angelo. This rich and impassioned history of the community house affirms the city's position in no uncertain terms about the intention of the founders. And I quote from the 1930 Deed of Trust: to encourage, engage in, and carry on social, philanthropic, and civic activities among and for the residents of the village of Birmingham, Michigan, and to provide and maintain a center therefore by acquiring, leasing, purchasing, improving, and maintaining adequate real and personal property. I encourage everyone to read it, and it will be made available on the homepage of the city's website soon, or it's already there. Since our last meeting, efforts to talk to the community house management and legal team, which I hasten to add began well before we filed suit, have continued. As a potential acquirer, we have requested a tour of the building and the opportunity to inspect it and learn about its condition and maintenance cost. On the legal front, our case has been assigned to the business court of the Oakland Circuit Court, which will hear our request for a temporary restraining order at which both parties, the city and the community house, will be permitted to speak. And I want to clarify something. The court did not deny our request for a temporary restraining order. It simply said it wanted to hear from both parties before ruling on it. In the community, it's fair to say that the threat of a sale has motivated residents far more than the revitalization effort undertaken by management of the community house. We have letters tonight from two groups which will be published in our next commission packet. Parents at the Early Childhood Center who want to see the ECC continue have come forward and offered to donate their time and skills to managing the center and continuing operations. Another group of residents with strong ties to the arts and philanthropic communities, passionate about saving the community house, has formed the Visionary Arts Council to help jumpstart programming and fundraising. This is being led by acclaimed photographer and Birmingham resident Linda Solomon, and you can find her on the internet and join the effort. Finally, a word to the community. This has always been our house. Not the city's house, but the community's house. This is why we filed our lawsuit, and it's why we will persist. The administrators and boards of directors who have come and gone over the home's 100-year history have been mere temporary occupants of what is and always will be the community's house. To the Senior Men's Club, the Rotary Club, and all the other organizations and individuals who once called the house home and contributed to it mightily, we aim to ensure that it remains the community's house, and we hope and expect that someday you will find it in your hearts to return. And to all others, young and old, I ask that you join us with optimism and hope in rebuilding a house rich in programming that all of us can call home. Thank you. With that,
Motion to adjourn.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.